Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for coming this evening. Just a quick polite reminder, we are...
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you all for coming tonight. And sorry about the late change of venue due to difficulties up at the Sports and Social Club. I'm not going to say very much because obviously the most important thing is the team that we've had working on this project for the last 6 or 7 months now, and it's been absolutely amazing, the expertise that's been given by the other 6 members of the working group to get to the position that we're in now. They're so much better at doing the technology than I am. As you know, I'm very much a novice when it comes to all this. I get more and more nervous each time when we have these sorts of meetings. But the really important thing about me getting nervous now is that I'm getting nervous about the technology, but I'm also getting nervous about how close we are to what we want to achieve, and that makes me feel, yes, good and nervous. So I'm just going to, we're going to work through the various members of the team and tell you where we are on various things, and then we hope we can have questions at the end rather than interrupting as we're going along. And obviously we'll have questions from people online as well. But hopefully what we're going to tell you tonight will be fairly self-explanatory and will be good news for all of us. So if I can just put Steve Hammett on first, if that's all right, and he'll talk you through where we are.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. Good evening, everyone online. We're going to get to the meat of the thing in just a minute, but we thought it would be useful for the benefit of some people that have been with us for the whole of the journey, some people that have dipped in and out, maybe know some of what's gone on, but not all of it. It would be useful to do a quick summary of what's gone on since the last time that we met collectively, which was 17th of April. So it's like 15, 16 weeks back, which is a bit longer than we intended to leave it. But as the story unfolds, you'll see kind of why it ended up like that. So in terms of what we've been up to in the time since then that brings us through to now and eventually this evening, the bit of good news that we've got. There's probably been 4 different chunks of work to report. There was immediately after the 17th April meeting, which was the kind of call to arms at that meeting. You remember we were able to issue the business plan. We were able to ask people to turn their promises, their verbal promises, into written pledges. And we asked for everybody to turn them into written pledges, go for the best that they could, speak to their friends, start to spread the word, and so on. And that went extremely well, as you know, because you see the running total. We're now up to about £416,000 worth of pledges, which is remarkable from a standing start. And it's one of the most satisfying things, I suppose, about that total to date is that it's come with a really good spread from residents living in Portlow, from second homeowners who are there sometimes and not there all the time, and from what we've started to label as friends of Portlow, people who don't live there, maybe they had some other connection, or they've just picked up the story from somewhere and felt like that they wanted to pledge and join in. And that's given us quite a good balance across there from that, what we term the call to arms from that first session. Since then, we have now updated the business plan. We have now added a share prospectus, which Brian will talk about in a little while, about how we're going to use both of those to try and now turn the pledges into the investment that we need to close out. Second area of work that we worked on in that time, a bit more sort of structural stuff and behind the scenes. So you'll remember that we were on the cusp back in April of registering our community benefit society, which is our name for the kind of the co-op that we've made. That registration came through at the end of April, quickly followed by registration or certification by the Financial Conduct Authority, so that our benefit society is now a properly registered, recognised entity, which is important, not important for us day by day, but it's important for us when we're reaching out for other investors or people giving us grants, and it's important for us when we come to elect an ongoing management committee to run the benefit society and oversee the operation of the pub in some way. So those were important steps. The other stuff in that kind of field that we've done in that same time, we're getting VAT registration, which we'll have shortly. We now have our own bank account, so we're not trying to sift money through the parish council as we were at the beginning, which makes that much cleaner and tidier, again, when we start to collect proper share money. And there was one other, and we're for the shares that we sell, we are going to try and get a kind of a kite mark, which is a kind of an industry standard reflecting the quality of the organisation and the structure underpinning the share issue, so that, again, not especially important to us except for the comfort that it's being done properly, but ever so important when we reach out to other potential other bodies giving us grants or donations. They want to see that you're backed up by a proper organisation before they start signing over cheques for X thousands of pounds. So when we've got that kite mark, we'll be stronger for that reaching out for more money. Third area is really the kind of promotional stuff. Back in April, we were just borrowing and stealing from Chaos to help us, as they did with that meeting then and the one prior. The first, you'll remember, in April, Tony was able to tell us that he'd got us our first £15,000 worth of grant money from the Cornwall Growth Fund, and we turned all of that money into a contract with Chaos to help us with a whole range of start-up or set-up initiatives, such as the work that you've seen on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, and the various social stuff, some of which is starting, so you recognise it, no royalties, but you'll recognise that stuff. You'll recognise their ongoing support here, and they've been helping us where they're not allowed to give us paid for work under the terms of that grant. They've been very supportive and helpful with us as partners in helping our thinking on things like the crowdfunder and the website, two initiatives that you'll hear a bit more about in a moment from Paula. The other thing that they've been that Chaos have been able to help us with, which is kind of below the waterline, is managing our admin and data so that everything that we hold, whether it's information that we've generated ourselves or information that we've taken from you, like personal information, and other investors, is safely stored and protected in a slice of their server, using their professionalism to make sure it's looked after properly under the terms of Data Protection Act. So that as time goes on, when we start asking people to turn pledges into investment and you're having to share details of stuff that you might worry about, it doesn't come to any of us individually. It goes into the Chaos server. It will be managed from within there. And as we don't need stuff, it will be properly audited and edited and deleted so that we're not holding anything that we shouldn't hold going forward. So they've been able to give us a sort of an extra layer of comfort and professionalism for this organisation, for our investment, mine as well as yours, but also that will stand us in good stead when we reach out externally. And the fourth and the final part of the strand of the work, I suppose, we'll be doing, which is the sort of the main act for today, is since the asset of community value went into place December 4 and ran for 6 months through to June 4, something like that, December something, yeah, December 4 was when they put the pub up for sale, wasn't it? And the asset of community value kicked in. June the 4th, I think, was the date when we had to start making offers or making proper discussions with the brewery. And so that fourth section of work, I suppose, that we've been doing, and it's taken up much of our concentration in the period since then, has been the back and forward with the brewery, or more specifically the brewery's agent, to try and wheedle out a deal that would obviously work for them and work for us, bearing in mind that as much as we wanted to go quickly to secure the future of the pub for us, but also to secure it, period, we also didn't want to go so quickly as to be spending any more of everybody's money than we needed to. So we've had to try and balance that. And that's a section that Brian's going to fill you in on just now, along with the stuff on the share prospectus, so that you know what we've achieved and what comes next. But it hopefully brings everybody up to speed. I appreciate that some of you will have known all of that, and all of you would have known some of that, because I don't know which ones are which. It's probably best to kind of fill in the story. And Brian's going to take you forward from there.
Evening, everyone. Yeah, so as ever, we've got good news and bad news to give. So the good news is we've finally struck a price with the brewery. As Steve said, it's taken a lot longer than we hoped it to, but we just didn't want to be rushing at it and giving way to their demands. So on their asking price of 550,000, we've struck a price at 425,000. So that's an agreed price. What we haven't done yet, I've one piece of negotiation left to do that I was hoping to have finalised for this evening. We haven't done it yet, and that is a completion date. So at the moment, we do know from the brewery's agent that from signing a heads of terms, which we haven't done yet, but we hope to maybe tomorrow, maybe Monday or Tuesday, but from signing a heads of terms to completion takes about 3 months, and that's just as long as solicitors take to do these type of brewery deals, apparently. The final bit is the handover date, and say we're hoping to have that feedback from the brewery today. It looks like it's going to be next week now. At that point, on behalf of the Benefit Society, one or two of us will sign that heads of terms and then be passing it over to solicitors. So I'm not sure what progress even we've made as a group in terms of appointing those solicitors. I know a few names have been going around on the WhatsApp group, but we've got to engage and appoint solicitors fairly quickly after that. Steve mentioned, so of the 425, Steve just mentioned 416. Actually, that's out of date as of today because somebody's upped their pledge by a few thousand, so we're up to 421 now. So we're there or thereabouts with the asking price we're paying the brewery. That does very heavily rely on everyone who's pledged coming up with every penny and has turned it into cash into the bank accounts. We hope we're not going to get any attrition rate in that, but we do have 3 months to put into place some other fundraising initiatives. We do have a bit of time for people that haven't pledged or want to buy shares to buy some shares. We do have a bit of time for people that my wife put me off then, she just walked in. And this is, for those of you that don't know, this is my wife's special wedding anniversary treat coming to the Portlow meeting. So I thought I'd push the boat out for her this evening. It has saved me a meal out as well. So yeah, so we've got 3 months to get our act together, turn those share pledges into cash, raise a bit more money where we can from either people that have pledged giving a bit more, people that haven't pledged entering the frame, going out finding some local business support and a few other initiatives Paul is going to talk about. Of the 425, say we've got to 421 now. We do need a bit for fees, so what will come out to everyone is a share prospectus, which rather than just the business plan, so I've updated the business plan, that will go on the dedicated Save Our Ship website that's going to be launched next week. again, Paul will talk about that shortly. So we've updated the business plan a little bit to tweak the numbers in line with what we've agreed with the brewery and some where we are on the journey, timeline bit of the business plan. We've produced the share prospectus that will go into the business plan that gives all the rules around that, and how those shares are going to work and the share certificate you get, etc., and the processes we're going to follow. The 425, on top of that, we're still looking to raise probably 25,000 for fees and maybe a bit of stamp duty. We want some working capital. We do know we're going to have to pay about, the VAT is 90% of the price paid, so 20% VAT on the price paid. So we do know we're going to have to pay, give or take a few quid, about £80,000 in VAT. But we are close to getting VAT registered, so that's only going to be a cash shortfall for the time until we can reclaim that VAT money. So at the most that will be 3 months, might be as low as a month if we can time it right. So we need to raise that money but then get that 80,000 back, and that will be the working capital of the business. So we're still targeting 600,000. So though we're saying 421's great, we'd still like to get to 600,000. That just allows us to buy the pub, pay for the fees, pay for the solicitors, and have enough money to do any refurbishment works a bit now and maybe a bit next year and a bit the year after, and have a bit of a slush fund to keep us going if we need it. So everyone gets a share certificate. When they pay the money over, the money will go in our own registered bank account now. The share prospectus the share prospectus and the business plan will go up on the new website next week. The share prospectus will be issued out and go live next week, as it were. So one day next week we'll almost be starting to chase people down and say, "Come on, let's have your money." It's now time to put up. I'm sure you've got lots of questions on it, and we'll obviously take a few questions once we've all finished speaking, but I'll just hand over to, are you going next, Paula?
Yes.
Paula, to talk about a little bit about the next steps of fundraising we're going to do.
Itching with questions, aren't they? A lot of things in life, we don't spend enough time just thinking, wow. And so I hope you and our lovely people online are really thrilled that the pub is going to be ours. We've done it. So let's take a moment for that. It's very, very special. So what I'm going to talk about, and with some help from Hannah as well, is, as Steve said, we've been having weekly meetings up at Chaos, and Nathan and his lovely team are here this evening, so thank you so much for the support. It's brilliant. They're an absolutely brilliant partner, and they've been helping us so much. But what we've been working on together is the development of the next stage of fundraising. So as Brian said, you'll all be receiving a lovely email or a letter through post if you're not on email, asking for you to turn your super pledges into real hard cash. But then we need to go to the next stage where we'll be doing all this additional fundraising. So we've come up with a crowdfunder page, and there's my good self and my lovely sister here. It includes some of the lovely films that you've appeared in, and it was just, this is not live yet, it will be launched next week, but we wanted to share with you this evening what we've got. So at the moment you can see naught at the top. So when people are encouraged to donate, which will be through social media, hopefully you'll be sending it to your friends and the links and etc. It tells the story of what we're aiming to do, to entice people to click that button when they have a look at it. It also emphasises that what we are, which is a community benefit society. People are investing in the pub and its building and its sense of our place rather than the business. Gives a little bit of our story. We've got a lovely picture here of Linda and Peter at the pub, so another film here. It talks about what we've done so far, which you've heard. We've already raised over 400,000, which is showing this amazing support, not just from our residents, but from all the friends of Portlow, as Steve described. I think our endeavour to work together to do this just shows what a fantastic community we are. And, we are not a divided community. We are a community at one, and very happy to be so. Our plan, our mission is to bring it under the community ownership. We need more money, as Brian described. This is why it matters to us. It's a village hub. It's also protecting that amazing heritage that Rob talks about on the film, which is that it's been a special place for hundreds of years, the pub, for many people. So it's a special building. It's protecting that heritage. We're going to hopefully give the economy a little boost down in Portlow as well, with some of our activities. We want to look very carefully at how we could become more sustainable and efficient, and we're looking into how we might be able to raise some additional funds to help us do that. Community power is all about local support. This particular film was the one where lots of us were going, save our ship, and it got hundreds of, thousands actually, of views, our films. So it's saying support us today and be part of the story of where we are. So this will go out and be encouraging those smaller probably donations, but maybe we could go for the world and, we might get a really large one, who knows. And then also on this crowdfunder page, there will be an opportunity for people to go and do their own fundraising under the name of Save Our Ship Portlow, and then add it to the total. So one example we know, Hannah's going to talk about, but I'm looking at Cherie, and I think she's got some ideas of how we might be able to get baking and do some stuff in the village. More of that's come. But that's one example where the money could then be put onto the crowdfunder page, because we've been advised by our crowdfunder colleagues that it's better to have a full window. The fuller this naught gets up, the more people think, that's good. I want some of that. And so they've done research and they've worked out that this is what happens. So anything like that could be then added to the crowdfunder page and get that total starting to rise. Also, yes, thank you, Hannah. There's the opportunity on crowdfunder to receive matched funding from certain organisations who want to give help, which is around their theme. And what we're hoping to do is through, I think it's Aviva, they are looking for projects who want to do exactly what we do, which is to make the pub more efficient, maybe solar panels, just an example. And they would then, every pound, I think it's right, isn't it, that's raised, they would then match that by another pound. So it's, that's another incentive. We also know that these organisations who are part of the crowdfunder partnership, they come and go. So they're expecting another big one, I believe, that we might be able to apply for as well, and also get more match funding. So that's quite a big deal, really. So we know that every pound that we raise, it can be matched to help us, progress further. So did you want to just talk about your phone, and then I'll talk about the website Thank you, Hannah.
So we want to encourage as many people as possible to do as much additional fundraising. Could be anything, and we very much want you to go and do it. Not to come and pass it by us. Any additional funds are obviously greatly received for going on here. Up in that pound sign would be fantastic. An example that we have been gifted by a homeowner in Portlow is a week staying in their house. And we're going to do a raffle for this. We're going to sell a maximum of 100 tickets, £25 a ticket. We'll bring in a nice sum for the crowdfunder, and then someone gets a lovely holiday in Portlow as well. So anything like that we can encourage others to also do would be fantastic. But any ideas, crack on.
Thank you, Hannah. Yes, so if you did want to run anything, just buyers, don't be afraid, but it's more or less saying free hand, just go for it, please. The crowdfunder will be released early next week, and any questions or anything that you want, just get in touch with us and we'll try to answer them. Now, the website, as well, as you know, we've been very kindly using the Verian parish website, which is where a lot of people downloaded the pledge form or applied for pledges through there. So it's really brilliant that we had that facility to use. So we're going to be moving on to our own website, which, as I say, is almost there, and it will be launched with the crowdfunder. This is going to, I don't think we can give you an example, but it will be a landing page that will be very exciting. It's not a website for the pub yet. That is something that we're working on for the future, when, that will have the menus on it and, all the lovely stuff for when we can go in there and have a drink and something to eat. So the website is all about Save Our Ship Portlow, and the next stage, if you like, is we're going to be sailing our ship. So the website is going to be really all about, we got the boat, okay, fair enough, let's make it watertight. But now we've actually got to get the crew and get going, get sailing. So sail our ship is the next thing. So the website will have, as Brian said, it will have all the specific documents. It will house all our films. Some more films are due to be made. So we'll be looking again for lovely Portlowians to come on camera and really inspire and get all those thousands of hits that we got. It also will contain, those vital bits of information that other people will need to see, like the grant funders and etc., all those kinds of pieces of information. The other thing I need to share with you as well is that because this is a lovely piece of news for us all, and it's all very exciting, we realised that we needed to plan a press release. And so Lovely Chaos and their communications team have come up with something that we have agreed. So we feel that there's a level of control over this. So the headline is going to be a very positive one about what we've achieved together as a community. And that, I believe, will also be released early next week, or it might even be tomorrow. It'll be very soon. That's going to be great, and I expect we'll then get lots of interest from other people in the media. And just before I finish, I do want to put out my arms, if you like, to the dream that the people who are currently in the pub, Nick and Jared, their dream that they had to come and make this work for them. And again, how very sorry we are, I feel, that it didn't work out for them. And again, I wish, and I'm sure a lot of you do as well, them the best in the future. And it's still open, and do go in and support them if you are able. Okay, but it's brilliant, isn't it?
Just one small point on there, just to add what Paula was saying, was so this crowdfunder is for donations only. So anyone who's buying the shares through the shares prospectus, etc., we, the community, will be the shareholders in this venture. The crowdfunder is donations only. It doesn't come with a share. It's just for put out to the wider community. There's however many 100,000 camera members in the country, etc., etc. Anyone that wants to donate, anyone doing swim the harbour, raise a few quid, etc., it will all go in as a donation. You don't get shares as part of the crowdfunder exercise.
Okay, I think Steve.
I thought you were going to do the tenant thing. Yeah, okay. Just where Paula finished up saying about the current tenants, and obviously there's going to be a point of handover. I know it will be in some people's minds still because we haven't addressed it, is how we're going to run the bloody thing. And our view on that is really still as it was back when we last spoke about it in April. It's just like 4 months older view, is in an ideal world, we're going to get a tenant to run it so that we collectively, shareholders, don't have to worry about it day by day. You know, we'll support them, we'll take the rent from them, we'll help them to be successful, but they will run the pub and they will reap the benefits of running that pub against whatever the contract is that we agree with them and the agenda that we agree with them to make it properly a community pub and not just anything that they want it to be. That's the ideal world, and that's how we described it at the beginning. That's how we still see it. We know that person, that couple, that tenant might not be easy to find, especially to get the right one, not the quickest, but the right one. So we're kind of stepping into the unknown a little about how long does it take to get the tenant that you really want. Don't know, never tried. So that's going to be the next kind of hardcore piece of work outside of collecting the money and outside of issuing the shares and so on. We kind of think that stream of work is under control and it'd be easy, but it'll be under control. The next hard thing is going to be working to get that tenant. There's every chance, of course, that we might get the opportunity to complete on the deal before we've found the tenant, in which case we'll be doubling back, I think, again, as we said before, to putting in a temporary manager, somebody who can do it for 2, 3, I don't know how many months, because I don't know when we're going to get the tenant, but someone that will go in there and do a decent job of running the pub for us in the short term, because better that we use a different methodology to run it via a manager than leave it closed. So that's our kind of, it's our fallback, but it's probably what we're going to have to start with, which is kind of a bit awkward. So we're kind of getting ourselves ready to look for both possibilities. A manager, which is probably most likely in the short term, a tenant, which is the preferred goal but might take a little bit longer, especially if we're determined to get it right. The challenge with a manager is, of course, you know, we will still somehow from within our team, our widest team, need to supervise and manage that, and that will come with some operational grief. But the upside is, so long as we take a manager, a person, a couple, whatever it might be, on that knows what they're doing, we'll also learn a lot about how to and how not to run a pub, which we don't know that much about just now, obviously, because we're not running one. So we've got those kind of tricky bits to go through. The appeal, I suppose, from here, a bit like Paula and Hannah are saying, if you've got ideas about fundraising, get on with it. And if you want to check in with us and say, I'm going to do this, is it going to clash with somebody else's, do that. But please don't ask us to do the fundraising because we can't. We haven't got the arms for it. The appeal that goes alongside that is if you have knowledge of people that would be even an outside bet, not even necessarily a good fit, to take on running our pub for a short period of time, I might want to do that. probably including the Christmas period, which could be exciting all round, then please talk to them or talk to one of us or both, and let's see, because we need to put some quick time into this. And if you're even cleverer and you know people that might want to be a tenant, then definitely talk to any one of us, and let's see if we can't break this open. Eventually, for sure, on the tenant thing, we're going to have to do a kind of a structured, proper approach to it, and maybe with external advertising as well. But certainly in terms of selection, we're going to have to do something that's a bit more thoughtful than just I know a bloke. But at this stage, let's start with I know a bloke and see if we can get started, and we'll go from there. Okay.
Just a question on that. I don't know if you can hear me. Are we not looking at, I'm sure you've thought about it, I just want to know how linear that's going. Is you're looking at, rather than just another tenant, we've had 3, we've only been here 4 years, right? We live here, work here, but we've been here 4 years, there's been 3 tenants in the pub. As it's becoming a community hub, is it not a better idea to look a bit more linear than what the pub's use will be, what the premises use will be, and maybe not a pub manager, someone that's managing it, it's just a drinking establishment, but are you not better off looking for a chef or some other, just a different bit of lateral thought around that?
For
and
sure.
I assume that individual is potentially resident, which takes up, space or potential letting space in the pub as well. So I just wonder what your thoughts were around that.
For sure, and we've tried not to spend too much time on this, like a lot of things in the early stages, because we had the pile of work this high, and there's some things that we could leave till tomorrow, and now it's tomorrow. So yes, we have thought about that, and if you had somebody, if you could lead with somebody that could cook, because quite a lot of people could turn their hands to running a bar, then that would be perfect. That would be perfect. If that person that could run the kitchen with somebody helping run the bar happened to live in the village and didn't even want to be a resident in the pub but lived somewhere, how good would that be? But so we can draw the criteria. We'll see what we get. But what we know and what we said, that was one of the very, very early propositions was, unless that pub offers reasonable quality and selection of food, we're not going to live our dreams here. So somebody has to cook, even if it isn't the license holder. But yeah.
Right. Thank you very much to everyone in the team. I mean, you've seen tonight quite how remarkably lucky we've been to have a team like that, people who know their way around business, know the pitfalls, how to structure companies and societies, and I think we've been so lucky that the little group has come along and taken us to the stage that we're at now. So are there any questions from the room or questions online? Nathan, is there anybody coming in on Teams at all who wants to ask anything?
That's our Teams call just up there. We put the question in to see if anyone wants to chat, but nobody's put any hands up, so that's good.
Well, that's quite remarkable. I think that's probably a tribute to the way the full explanation that has been given tonight.
We might have one here, so we'll just work the tech a moment.
Right, okay. Hang on, Peter. Right, who am I introducing there? I can't really... Oh, Mr. Trotter from Sunny Corner, yes. Would you like to ask a question tonight then?
Yes, please, Luke.
Hello.
I trust you all can hear me.
We can, yeah.
First of all, I'd like to say what an impressive piece of work all the folks on the team have done. It really is tremendous. And even more impressive to get so close, within a stone's throw of meeting the price, the selling price that the brewery are looking for. It's absolutely fantastic. But I've got a couple of points, and they relate to the business plan. I've read the business plan, and I couldn't see a lot that I would disagree with, but I thought it was extremely optimistic from the point of view of both the revenue and the cost base. And the cost base was primarily driven, as I recall, because it's some time since I read it, about providing the manager and or landlord and running a kitchen. And whilst I personally don't have any experience in any of those sectors, I thought the estimates for the cost of staffing those areas were fairly seriously understated. And I'd welcome some observation from the team about that concern I have.
Brian, would you like to?
Yeah, the business plan as was the one that's been seen, but there is another one that say we've been updating in the last few days, really, with the new numbers in. The business plan as was, and still is the thought process that this is going to be a tenant in the traditional sense of a tenant. So we will charge the tenant a nominal sum maybe for the first year or two, and then a rent in the following years, but we'll start with a low start rent probably to give them a chance of making a go of it. But after that point, as long as they can make money, that's not really a lot to do with us. They can become rich as long as they keep the pub open, as long as it operates in the way we as a community. So we may give them a list of written rules that they have to have the quiz night on a Wednesday night, they have to have this, they have to have a vegetarian option, etc., etc. But there will be a list of rules with that tenancy agreement. But as long as they're prepared to take that on, then they just have to pay the rent we ask for each year. Other than that, any money they make is theirs. Now, if they can do better than the previous tenants, the previous 3 tenants have done, and make themselves a decent amount of money with our help and with all the community support in that venture and going in a bit more, then good luck to them. As long as they keep as a community asset open, that's theirs to keep. So we're under that model, that tenanted model, we are not looking to remunerate them a salary, and therefore we don't need that money in a business plan. Now, if we get to a point in 3 months' time, we just cannot find a tenant. We've been out on all the pub advertising sites where to find a tenant, etc., etc., etc. We just can't find a tenant. Then we will have to revert back to a managerial stroke cook model. But at that point, all the revenue will be kept by the society and some of it will be spent on wages, and hopefully those 2 parts of the equation balance out. If they don't, that's where the working capital fund comes in that gets us through the first couple of years, where we can make improvements to the pub, put a bit more coverage in there, a bit more dining space, another bedroom, etc., etc., and get a bit more revenue driven through it. So that's the thinking at the moment. Right or wrong, that's what we've gone with, and hopefully it works out. But it's not done flippantly. We have put a lot of thought into it, and hopefully our thinking is right. If not, then we'll have to change our thinking in the coming months. And that's the best answer we've got at the moment, Ian. Thank you.
Would you like to come back?
Can I just come back on that?
Of course.
I'm delighted to hear that. I'm delighted to hear the primary model now is to have a tenant. And personally, if that tenant is successful, then I'd love that to be the case. I guess over time, the tenancy model has not been entirely successful, particularly in recent times. But there's no reason that in the future it shouldn't be. providing that I think that our vision for the pub and the excitement that might give to a prospective good tenant match. And I agree, that would be my preference. But I think that, and I guess we all know it, there is a risk that we have to revert to for some time, maybe a longer time than we would like, to have a manager and staff. And I guess those of us who've been in business all their life know what a risk that is. I'm not saying it won't work. I'm just saying as long as we're mindful of all of that, and that there is some sort of resilience in our plan, I guess I'm happy.
Thank you very much for your interest. And I mean, from a personal point of view, I think it can only be a virtuous circle in the future. The number of people in the village who've pledged, and it's 60% of the properties in Portlow have pledged towards the share capital. I hope it will be more as well. And I think we all have an interest in making it work, and we all hopefully will put in a little bit more than we have done in the past. I mean, I'm as guilty of that as anyone. I've tended to go to pubs where there've been football showing rather than eating more locally, perhaps. But I think the goodwill that's been shown by the people who've put money in and will donate, I think that will help us over the line. And I remember when the business plan was written, I was told that it was written quite conservatively, that we weren't expecting great things. We weren't over-egging the pudding, that we felt that this was perhaps the lowest possible estimates of revenue and perhaps the highest estimates of costs, and that we could improve on that with goodwill and a greater footfall. And there is a huge amount of goodwill towards the ship succeeding. I've got lots of friends who are down here on holiday at the moment who love going there, have gone there for years and years and want it to continue. And I think if we secure it and we can make it better than it is now, then I think the only way is up. So are there any more questions from the room or online? Have we got anything else coming in at all? No. Well, all I can do is really thank everybody for the amazing generosity that's been shown in terms of the pledges towards the share capital. As you remember, when we started, I said that, perhaps if every house in the village put £5,000 in, we might be somewhere near it. Well, obviously it depends on how well off you are. Not everybody can do that, but in Portlow and around the wider community, a lot of people have exceeded that, and I'm really humbled by people's generosity. I would hope that anyone who hasn't pledged previously, who uses the ship, who would want to secure its future, would think about putting even just the minimum £100 capital into the pub, and just to be part of the great step forward that we're making, and also to show everybody what a united community we are, and that everybody is pulled together, whether they're resident or non-resident, and that they would want to feel part of that as well. We'll obviously see hopefully beneficial results from crowdfunding and donations. I think I'm not confident of reaching 600,000. I wasn't confident of reaching 425,000. I'm always nervous. I remember one very poor meeting we had in, I think it was February or March, where we found we double counted some of the pledges and we were panicking and we thought we're never going to get there. But that was the worst time. And the goodwill and the generosity that has been shown, I think, is amazing. And hopefully we can come back to you all in a few weeks or a month or two's time and tell you exactly when we take over, what we're going to do. And just keep supporting the ship at the moment. Keep keep going there. Just tell your friends about it. Tell everybody about what we're hoping to achieve in the future there, and we're going to get there. It's brilliant, and thank you all, and thank you particularly to the team. I mean, you've seen tonight how lucky we've been to have that calibre of person helping us on this project, and it's all good news. And thank you very much.